Picture this. Underneath the margins, your words can breathe. Got your listeners tilting isosceles the way you holding volcanic quills, spitting decrees. Better believe it flows like these. You got gills, screaming at daffodils or dreaming in mandrills, derivative of skills. You're built in the workshop, rocking with Ra. Cause in life, the woodshed don't stop. It don't stop. It don't stop. Don't stop. God bless the cipher, the rotation. God bless the beatboxer's lungs, amen for breath control, the smiles that cry open faces when flow goes unbroken, and the smoke. To stories you can see, to coming in on the one. Amen to that dream, that early morning conversation, the argument that birthed the idea, that unbelievable situation, the story that had to be told somehow. Some ideas, they shake you out of your sleep like when a toddler creeps. Totality of the deep, the mere thought of an unconscious manifestation carried out with the beat. Positive charged protons creating neural explosions. Time hiccups when fingers and pads touch. Dead air smiles because it knows what's coming. The countenance of the clock claps hands. The choreography of the knot slaps jams. And you be like, who made this? Vertebrae responding to the call so bad to make a B-girl curve the wall.
Microphone check 1 2 1 2. Microphone check 1 2. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Baba Bomani. Welcome to Baba Bomani's Beatbox Basement. We are here to welcome in the new year, 2021, with my favorite thing, making rap songs and hip hop with young people. Thank you very much to Words, Beats, and Life for making this happen. Go to Words, Beats, and Life, WBLinc.org to support that organization. And you can find me anywhere you find social media at BabaGotBARS. All right. Now, in order to make sure this hour goes really well, we got to make sure we understand how to do a few things. One thing is I do all my shows just like a hip hop concert, which means we're going to do a lot of call and response. All right. So when I say call, you say response, call, response, call, response. All right. Very good job. So I'm going to begin with this song that I have called My Name Is. This song is very important to me because it explains my name and the culture where that I represent. This song, ever since the 1970s, the number one job of a rapper has been to represent himself and his community in as big a shining light as possible. I take that job very seriously, and so I use my music to do just that. Let me set that up for you right now. Ladies and gentlemen, this is My Name Is. Sorry about the mix-up. I'm still getting used to making sure I press the little button that shares my sound every time that I press play on one of my videos. Let me try that again now. Here comes the video. My name is
Baba Bomani, BabaGotBARS.com. At count of three, everybody throw up the deuces and say peace. 1, 2, 3. Peace. My name is Baba Bomani. My flow's a force of nature like a tsunami. My words on paper are 3D like origami. Watch my hip-hop party, stretch your mind and move your body. Baba means father in the language of Yoruba, spoken in countries of Benin, Togo, and Nigeria. His father in Swahili, used in Congo and Rwanda, Burundi, Mozambique, South Africa, and Somalia, Tanzania, Kenya, and can't forget Uganda. My African heritage is what I'm very fond of. So I put Baba in my title so you know where I stand the moment of my arrival. In the tradition of rappers of the past, like the Grandmaster title for Grandmaster Kaz, MC for MC Light, even Little for Little Wayne, a Young for Young M.A. Baba states it plain. My name is Baba Bomani. 1, 2, 3. Peace. My name is Baba Bomani. 1, 2, 3. Peace. My name is Baba Bomani. I'm old school in the game like Atari. This is my full-time job, it's not a hobby. To kick it for the kids like Mr. Miyagi doing karate. Now let me tell you something about me. My name comes from the countries of Malawi, Tanzania, Zambia, and even Mozambique. Depends on what indigenous language that they speak. Bomani means warrior to the Ngoni. Yes, it's my real name, I can never be a phony. I changed it 20 years ago, it fits me if you know me. Even changed my last name in a big ceremony. In the tradition of black figures back in the day, like Ntozake Shange and Kwame Ture, Joquay, Lumumba, El Haj Malik, El Shabazz. Bomani is what I'm known as. My name is Baba Bomani. 1, 2, 3. Peace. My name is Baba Bomani. 1, 2, 3. Peace. My name is Baba Bomani. My flow rides on the track like a Maserati. Get my speaking from my daddy and my good looks from my mommy. Cause I'm a black star like my man Marcus Garvey. My last name is pronounced Ahmad. From the West African people called the Ga. From the country of Ghana around the city of Accra. The flag is red, gold, and green with a black star. They took our last names when they brought us across the water. So I looked at Africa to see what names it had to offer. And changed my last name after a great Ghanaian author. An African name I can pass on to my daughter. Or I can pass it to my son. They might change it one day. I can't control who they'll become. But when they ask why I did what I've done, I say I'm building a tradition, not resting upon one. My name is Baba Bomani. 1, 2, 3. Peace. My name is Baba Bomani. 1, 2, 3. Peace. 1, 2, 3. Peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was My Name Is. So y'all know who I am, Baba Bomani. I'm broadcasting to you live from Baba Bomani's Beatbox Basement. You're going to see a lot of content out of this basement in 2021. I'm hoping to get the year off to a good start. I think that we have. Thank you very much, Words Beats and Life, for making this happen. Let me explain to you a little bit about what I do. Now, the next quote I'm about to bring up on screen is something that I hope to be famous for one day. All right. And that is this. Rapping is the art and engineering of language divided by math. Let me say that again. Rapping is the art and engineering of language divided by math. Now, that's going to make more and more sense as I go through the next hour, but this is how I use hip hop as a teaching tool in order to cover some of those very basic things that we go over in school, especially the language and the math part. I'm going to get into the engineering in a moment, but let me break some things down for you. All right. First things first, at everybody who's watching right now, this show is for third graders and up. All right. And I normally ask my third graders if you're a writer. It's a trick question. Everyone's a writer after the third grade. You learn to read up until second grade, then you read to learn from third grade on, and you're writing all the time, every day. I make sure that my young people understand how to be good writers by using hip hop as their teaching tool. The first thing you need to understand is the main idea. As writers, most of y'all are familiar with the main idea. Another thing you should be familiar with is supporting details. All right, supporting details. Now, our next question I ask my young people is, how many musicians are in the room? How many people play the piano, play the clarinet, play the recorder in the second grade, play the drums, bang really loud on the cafeteria tables, sing Beyonce songs in the shower? No matter what level of musician you are, you should be familiar with things like the chorus, the refrain, and the hook. All right. In between the chorus, refrain, and the hook, you find these other things called verses. All right. Now, this next thing I'm going to show you is a Venn diagram, and it basically explains what I do. I normally show this Venn diagram to a principal, and I get invited to come teach at their school, and that is this. A well-written essay resembles a well-written song. Both essays and songs have introductory paragraphs, have main ideas, and supporting details. In an essay, you have introductory and supporting paragraphs. In a song, you have chorus and verses. If you ever see me and I'm not smiling, remind me. I get a chance to go around the world and teach young people how to make rap songs using this Venn diagram and this formula. All right. Now, to do that, I'm going to talk a lot about some of the math aspects of it. One of them is understanding bars. Bar, or a measure, is a segment of time corresponding to a specific number of beats. Now, I am not going to play this whole song for you about how to count bars, because usually my students in third grade or higher sort of catch this already, but I need to show you the song as a reference point because A, it's about counting bars, and B, I am going to sample the next song you hear 4 different times over the next hour. Part of hip hop is sampling. I wanted to sample some James Brown, but I couldn't afford to sample James Brown because I'm an independent artist. So I made a song that followed all the rules of funk laid down by the Godfather James Brown. And the song goes like this. To count 1 bar, just whoops, what did I do? To count 1 bar, just count the 4. Each count at the speed that you did before. Do that again when you want some more. Keep adding bars when you count the 4. Now, I am not going to play this entire song. I'm only going to play maybe 1 verse of it so you understand how this goes, but then hopefully you'll keep your ear out for it and you'll hear it where I use it later in this same performance. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Count to 4. Oh, let me stop the share screen to make sure I shared the audio correctly because I gotta get used to this new platform. Count to 4 music video, share audio. Bam, here we go.
To count 1 bar, just count to 4. Each count at the speed that you did before. Do that again when you want some more. Keep adding bars when you count to 4. To count 1 bar, just count to 4. Each count at the speed that you did before. Do that again when you want some more. Go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. To keep the beat up at your feet to the drum, we start with the finger right next to your thumb. Now I'm gonna show you how it's done. When the beat comes around, we land on the 1. It's 1. Say that with me. 1. Say that with me. 1. Yeah, you got it. 1. Yeah, let's go. To count 1 bar, just count to 4. Each count at the speed that you did before. Do that again when you want some more. Keep adding bars when you count to 4. To count 1 bar, just count to 4. Each count at the speed that you did before. Do that again when you want some more. Keep adding bars when you count to 4.
It goes.
Go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
All right, so now you understand that. That is Count to 4. Now, what I did was I used that song to create another song called Hip Hop Party that breaks down all the history and all the 4 elements of what it takes to have a really good hip hop party. Let me give you an example of what I did. I took this paragraph right here that you're about to see, and I turned it into a rhyme. Now, I'm not even going to read this paragraph for you because, it's probably kind of boring to read the way that I wrote it. But I took this paragraph and going step by step through a process, and I have forms and sheets that helps young people take anything they've written or any text that they're working on in class and turn it into a hip hop rhyme. So this is my paragraph about DJing. I made a song about DJing. Based on that paragraph. And if you go to BabaGotBARS.com, give me your email address, I will show you the whole lesson plan that's around that. But now let me play for you now my DJing song. Sponsored by young audiences of New Jersey and Eastern Pennsylvania, and also Words, Beats, and Life Incorporated. Oh, let me before I even play this, I don't even remember if I pressed the right button to make sure this is technically ready to go. So let me double check it one more time. I gotta click this, click that, and then make sure the audio is being shared. Boom. All right, here we go. All technical difficulties out of the way. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the DJ.
Baba Bomani. BabaGotBARS.com. Audiences, teach you about to get this hip hop party started. Gonna teach you about all 3 elements: the DJ, the MC, and the breakers. Let's do this. HIP, HOP. I got a DJ and a MC, plus a breaker, so we got all 3 that we need for this hip hop party. I said HIP, HOP. I got a DJ and a MC, plus a breaker, so we got all 3 that we need for this hip hop party. If I need head nod, drums, and bass lines to rock me, I go find a DJ that's short for disc jockey. South Bronx, New York City, early 1970s, a kid Kool Herc influenced the culture heavily. South Bronx was going through a lot at the time, rising arson, drug use, gang wars, and crime. But being hip hop is making the most of what you have. Since Herc played the sound system on Cedric Ave, known as a no faker, no stuff taker, dope party maker like it did his home of Jamaica. To do his block parties, he'd hack the street lights, or his basement jams would bring the people each night. All of New York came for cool herc spinning, and most say that this was hip-hop's beginning. These parties in the South Bronx are wild, we say. The first element of hip-hop is the DJ. H-I-P, H-O-P. I got a DJ and a MC, plus a breaker, so we got all three that we need for this hip-hop party. I said H-I-P, H-O-P. I got a DJ and a MC, plus a breaker, so we got all three that we need for this hip-hop party.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the DJ in the song Hip Hop Party. Now, DJs did an interesting thing. They solved a problem that we were having in the 1970s. How do you keep the party going? How do you express your culture in the middle of an amazing economic decline that was happening in the Bronx at the time? The early hip hop artists are some of the first engineers of the art form. And so right now I want to talk to you about the engineering design process. That's the video I'm going to play for you next. It's about the 5 steps of the engineering design process. Ask the right question, imagine how to solve them. Matter of fact, let me make sure you see what the 5 steps are. The 5 steps of the engineering process are: ask, imagine, plan, create, improve. Ask the right questions, imagine how to solve them, plan out each and every move, create a solution to the problems, see what works, and then improve. One of the cool things that got me into this next stage of my artistry and my education as BabaGotBARS was working with this school called Wilson Baker in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. They are the students you're about to see in this next video I'm going to share for you. This song is called The Engineering Design Process. It has a dance. It has a whole curriculum that goes along with it. So if you're interested, go to BabaGotBARS.com. Find a way to bring this into your classroom with your students. Ladies and gentlemen, I am about to share for you now the engineering design process.
Right. I'm Baba Bomani. BabaGotBARS.com. 1, 2, 3. Ask the right questions, imagine how to solve them, plan out each and every move, create a solution to the problem, see what works and then improve. Ask the right questions, imagine how to solve them, plan out each and every move, create a solution to the problem, see what works and then improve. Ask the right questions, imagine how to solve them, plan out each and every move, create a solution to the problem, see what works and then improve. First up of EDP is the ask. What are the key elements in this task? What is the problem? What other people tried? What advices are similar? What lessons can that provide? What are the things you can do and the things that you can't? Also known as limitations or as the restraints. Ask the first EDP step. It's mental exercise, so you gotta get your reps. So you ask the right question. Yeah, imagine how to solve them. Plan out each and every move. Create a solution to the problem. See what works and then improve. Ask the right questions, imagine I solve them. Plan out each and every move. Create a solution to the problem. See what works and then improve. Ask the right questions, imagine I solve them. Plan out each and every move. Create a solution to the problem. See what works and then improve. Second step of EDP is imagine. Brainstorm what kind of gadget you want to happen. You've asked the right questions, now think of solutions. It's good to take notes to watch your ideas' evolution. The job of imagination is never really done. But when you have a list of ideas, you can take your time till you pick the best one. Imagine is the second EDP step. It's mental exercise, so you gotta get your reps. So you ask the right question. Yeah, imagine how to solve them. Plan out each and every move. Create a solution to the problem. See what works and then improve. Ask the right question. imagine I solve them, playing out each and every move. Create a solution to the problem, see what works and then improve. Ask the right questions, imagine I solve them, playing out each and every move. Create a solution to the problem, see what works and then improve. Third step of EDP is the plan. Best way to do it is a diagram. It's the design of the engineering process. Fail to plan, a plan to fail. Pay attention to details, it will help you progress. Make a list of the materials that you will need. The better you plan, the more likely it is you'll succeed. Plan is the third EDP step. It's mental exercise, so you gotta get your reps. So you ask the right question. Imagine how to solve them. Plan out each and every move. Create a solution to the problem. See what works and then improve. Ask the right questions, imagine I solve them, playing out each and every move. Create a solution to the problem, see what works and then improve. Ask the right questions, imagine I solve them, playing out each and every move. Create a solution to the problem, see what works and then improve. Fourth step of EDP is create. You want to get it right, so you concentrate. Follow the plan and step through precisely. If you planned it out right, maybe it just might come together quite nicely. To make sure that your new invention works without a doubt, you have to do a test run, that just means you try it out. Create is the fourth EDP step. It's mental exercise, so you gotta get your rep. So you ask the right question. Yeah, imagine how to solve them. Plan out each and every move. Create a solution to the problem. See what works and then improve. Ask the right questions, imagine I solve them, playing out each and every move. Create a solution to the problem, see what works and then improve. Ask the right questions, imagine I solve them, playing out each and every move. Create a solution to the problem, see what works and then improve. Fifth step of EDP is improve. Now that you finish your creation, what's your next move? You press all the buttons, pull all the levers. What works and what doesn't, what's moving, what's bugging, what's perfect, or what could work better. No matter the outcome you learn, so that means that you win. Now take what you learn and do EDP over again. Improve is the fifth EDP step. It's mental exercise, so you gotta get your reps. So you ask the right question. Yeah, imagine how to solve them. Plan out each and every move. Create a solution to the problem. See what works and then improve. Ask the right questions, imagine I solve them, playing out each and every move. Create a solution to the problem, see what works and then improve. Ask the right questions, imagine I solve them, playing out each and every move. Create a solution to the problem, see what works and then improve.
Yeah. Engineering design process featuring the students at Wilson Baker. Man, some of these kids got like beards and bass in their voice now, and it was only a couple years ago. Time flies so fast. Thank y'all very much for paying attention. So now I'm going to go into the next element of hip hop. The next element of hip hop we're going to talk about is breaking. All right, we have DJing, we have breaking. This video is also brought to you by young audiences of New Jersey and Eastern Pennsylvania and Words, Beats, and Life. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about breaking.
Baba Bomani. One young more time. Teaching artists. Keep it going, y'all. BabaGotBARS. Yeah. I love it when it's funky, y'all. Yeah. It goes. Take me to the break. HIP, HOP. I got a DJ and a MC, plus some breakers, so we got all three that we need for this hip hop party. I said HIP, HOP. I got a DJ and a MC, plus some breakers, so we got all three that we need for this hip hop party. To understand the dances and the style they were portraying, you must understand the DJs and the music they were playing. The hottest funk records were in heavy rotation as Parliament Funkadelic toured the nation. Plus James Brown, the godfather of soul, that's right, man. With the JVs, you should have seen him at his height, man. Bass guitar, keys, a drummer on his left and right hand. 4 horns, 3 singers, 3 dancers, and a hype man. One part made the party go wild and the ground shake. When they all stopped but the drummer, this was called the break. Grandmaster Flash developed new techniques to make sure they gave the people their beats. He would get 2 copies of the same record on 2 record players, a turntable double-decker. He put a mixer between each record player, which includes many buttons, including a crossfader. He would line up the records to the same place where the break beat started and put on his game face. The record's going at the same rate. He let the first rotate, switch at the right time, release the record with style and grace. He did this for as long as he wanted the break to last. The dancers went crazy, they really had a blast. They break into James Brown inspired moves. Groups of kids would get together and be dance crews. Created B-boy and B-girl stances, the freezing footwork with acrobatic moves. If you fail, it could hurt. But this was all history in the making. The style they created is now called breaking. H-I-P, H-O-P. I got a DJ and a MC, plus a breaker, so we got all 3 that we need for this hip-hop party. I said H-I-P, H-O-P. I got a DJ and a MC, plus some breakers, so we got all 3 that we need for this hip-hop party. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the breaking song that I created for Words, Beats, and Life in young audience in New Jersey, Eastern Pennsylvania, breaking down the history of hip-hop. But I'm going to go right into the next song for y'all.
Keep it going, y'all.
Let me ask y'all, do y'all recognize this song I'm about to play for y'all? This song is a classic song. It's like the first smash hit single to go across the world and usher in a new style of music. Does anybody know what the song is called? In a moment, the screen is going to tell you. You probably recognize it. It is called The Entertainer by Scott Joplin. Now, this song is the great-great-great-grandfather of hip-hop and all the other styles of music that black people have created in this country. I am now about to use this song called The Entertainer to break down the history of American music for you, okay? This is a very important part of my class. I want to make sure that students leave my class understanding where the music came from. In order to do the song, you're going to hear that song in the background, but I also need you to do some call and response. So when I say hip, you say hop, hip, hop, hip. When I say give me that, you say funk, give me that, give me that. Yeah, there you go. So now that is what you need to know. I'm about to play for you now, The Black Entertainer.
Baba Bomani, BabaGotBARS.com. The evolution of music won't stop like Run DMC bringing us hip hop. When I say hip, you say hop, hip, hop, hip. Before that, we scrunched up your face like it stunk, like James Brown giving us that funk. So when I say give me that, you say funk, give me that funk, give me that funk. The generation before took it smoothly, like Big Mama Thornton giving us R&B. When I say R and you say B, R and B. R&B. The generation before was much more bold, like Chuck Berry bringing us rock and roll. When I say rockin', you say roll, rockin', roll, rockin', roll. The generation before added some pizzazz, like Ella Fitzgerald giving us the jazz. When I say we got, you say the jazz. We got the jazz. We got the jazz. Field Hollins evolved in the soulful grooves, like Robert Johnson giving us the blues. When I say we got, you say the blues. We got the blues. We got the blues. After slavery, music was their favorite pastime, like Scott Joplin bringing us ragtime. When I say rag, you say time. Rag, time. Rag, time. Wanna know how American music was made? You have to start with the triangle slave trade. Enslaved Africans had their languages forbidden, but many things survived, especially their rhythms. Rhythms of the djembe, bata and shakere, survived in reggae, samba, salsa, and merengue. African influence in music remained still. You can hear it from Cuba to Brazil, especially here in the United States. These elements make our music great. Find Africa all over, Here's an example. The Ngoli from Mali turned into the banjo. The rhythms can be heard so easily from jazz in New Orleans to go-go in D.C. Begin with field holler slaves singing at work. The other kind of songs they sing are spirituals at church. The foundation of our musical recipe. African music is part of the American legacy. Free slaves had music as their favorite pastime. Like U.B. Blake giving us ragtime. When I say rag, you say time. Rag, time. Rag, time. Field hollers involved in the soulful grooves. Like Bessie Smith bringing us the blues. When I say we got, you say the blues. We got blues. We got blues. The next generation added some pizzazz, like Louis Armstrong giving us the jazz. When I say we got, you say the jazz. We got jazz. We got jazz. The next generation was much more bold, like Sister Rosetta thought bringing us rock and roll. When I say rockin', you say roll. Rockin', roll. Rockin', roll. The next generation took it more smoothly, like Aretha Franklin giving us R&B. When I say R and you say B. R&B, R&B. Next we scrunch your face up like it stunk, like George Clinton giving us that funk. So when I say give me that, you say funk. Give me that, give me that. The evolution of music won't stop, like Roxanne Shante bringing us hip hop. When I say hip, you say hop. Hip hop, hip hop.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was
teaching artist Baba Bomani.
That was the history of black music in a song called The Black Entertainer. Now I'm gonna get right back into hip hop. We're gonna talk about the third element that you need in order to make a great party, and that is the MC. So let me just go ahead and let that play. Here we go. The MC.
BabaGotBARS.com. Gonna keep this hip hop party going. We were talking about the DJ. We were talking about the breakers. Let's talk about the MC. Yeah. H-I-P, H-O-P. I got a DJ and a MC. Plus some breakers, so we got all three that we need for this hip hop party. I said H-I-P, H-O-P. I got a DJ and a MC. Plus some breakers, so we got all three that we need for this hip hop party. The master of ceremony is on the microphone at events like graduations or where people might perform in hip-hop while the DJ moves a groove around and sees me microphone controller or move the crowd before their lyrical recitals or battling their rivals. Their role is really vital as the DJ flips his vinyl. Record players are like CD players or iPods. You can't make a playlist these days, that seems quite odd. Not a problem till you want to go from one song to the next at a party, but you don't want the crowd to get vexed. They use call and response, a very old tradition, giving shout out to Toast. It was part of their mission. They make the crowd move to what he or she say. Use their microphone skills to promote the DJ. They take music as we know it. It's easy to see my favorite element of hip hop is the MC. H-I-P, H-O-P. I got a DJ and a MC. Plus some breakers, so we got all three that we need for this hip hop party. I said H-I-P, H-O-P. I got a DJ and a MC. Plus some breakers, so we got all three that we need for this hip hop party. Yeah. Throw your hands in the air and wave them like you just don't care. And if you're ready to have a hip hop party, everybody say, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Can I kick it? Yes, you can. Can I kick it? Yes, you can. When I say hip, you say hop. Hip hop, hip hop. When I say hip, you say hop. Hip hop, hip hop. Hey yo, Hey yo, H-I-P, H-O-P. I got a DJ and a MC.
Plus some breakers, so we got all three that we need for this hip hop party. I said
H-O-P. I got a DJ
and a MC. Plus some breakers, so we got all three that we need for this hip hop party. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the MC in my group of songs called the Hip Hop Party. I got one more element of hip hop that's going to come up a little bit later, but let me share this for y'all. So we're talking about MCs, and I want to get into this whole different thing that I do about one of my favorite writers, and that's this man right here, Frederick Douglass. This next song I'm going to do for you is called Selfie King, and it's based on the life of Frederick Douglass. It's actually very specifically based on this book about his life called Picturing Frederick Douglass. In this book, a bunch of historians got as many photos of Frederick Douglass as they could and got them into one spot. As you know, I was born in Washington, D.C. and raised in Prince George's County, Maryland. If you didn't, now you know. We take Frederick Douglass very seriously here. There's monuments to him all over the place. When they compiled all these pictures of him, these historians realized something very important. Frederick Douglass is the most photographed American of the 19th century. Let me explain exactly what that means. He escaped slavery in 1838. The camera was invented in 1839. Between 1839 and the end of the century, no human on this side of the ocean had their photo taken as often as him. He was more visibly recognizable than anyone else who lived in North or South America. All right. So the historians got together and they were trying to figure out, why is that? Why does he have more pictures than Abraham Lincoln or Mark Twain and all these other people? And they realized that as an abolitionist, he fought to abolish slavery. He thought one of the most important things he could do was project an image of himself as the upstanding, handsome, smart, genteel black man that he is. And so everywhere, every town that he went to, he would find a different photographer to take his pictures, and he would give away or he would sell the photography. And so I wrote a song about that called Selfie King. I wrote this as if I was Frederick Douglass because I think Frederick Douglass would have been a great MC. MCs are about bragging about themselves, and historians say that Frederick Douglass was no, what is it called? Shrinking violet. He had no problem bragging about himself. So in this song about him, I'm rapping as if I'm Frederick Douglass, and I'm going to need your help on the chorus. Here's how the chorus goes. When I say Selfie King, I need you to say, pick out my fro, and acting like you're picking out an afro. All right. So it goes, Selfie King, pick out my fro. Selfie King, pick out my fro. Selfie King, pick out my fro. I think you guys are going to go really well with this. I am about to bring up that song for you now. Once again, this song is called Selfie King. It's on the album Baba Got Bars. Oh, hold on. I don't think I shared the screen correctly. Let me share the screen correctly to make sure y'all get the sound. Still getting used to this technical stuff, 2021. Boom. All right. So coming up next is the song Selfie King.
Baba Bomani. BabaGotBARS.com. Introducing the world-famous autobiographer, newspaper publisher, public speaker, and the most photographed American of the 19th century, Frederick Douglass. You see my suit, it cost some dough. Fresh and clean, don't you know? I need a crown for this photo. So let me pick out my fro. Selfie King. 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 Pick out my fro. I see you want to floss on the gram, get a little fame with your little phone. The 1800s, freshest in the land. Let me tell you kind of selfie game I was on. America's most popular. I mean for real, best-selling autobiographer. Worth pay the bills, giving racist insomnia. House on the hill, self-taught lexicographer. That means I've got worse skills. Flexing for the photographer. Black and white steels, that's how we do it in Anacostia with an old school ice grill. You see my suit, it cost some dough. Fresh and clean, don't you know? I need a crown for this photo. So let me pick out my fro. Selfie King. 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 Pick out my fro. Cash and speaking fees, royalties, and federal checks. My son's a Civil War vet. Name one president that I haven't met. Could be at an all-white function, not talking clothes, breaking necks. Slim, I'm on the front porch listening to string quartets. It's confidence, not arrogance. From Southeast, most famous resident, more famous than the president. Look at the pics if you want evidence. Took advantage of every opportunity. Despite racists try to do to me, the ambassador to Haiti, the U.S. recruited me. I got real diplomatic immunity. You see my suit, it cost some dough. Fresh and clean, don't you know? I need a crown for this photo. So let me pick out my fro. Selfie King. 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 Pick out my fro. Yes, I'm a free man. Thank you stopping. What are my plans? Punishment is severe, will knock you out where you stand. Slave owners read my book, my haters are my biggest fans. Overseers could read braille, still can't see me with their hands. Think flexing on them hard, showing off with bravery. Flexed in so many pics with a squad, they try to send me back slavery. There's one thing that got me tripping like A-Marie. Are you everything your pictures of you claim to be? I'm speaker that they came to see. No one had more claim than me. No one had a bigger name than me. No one alive at the time had more fame than me. Not a player, no was in the same game as me. Everyone posed looking aimlessly. I stared in the camera shamelessly. So you see, no one's taming me. You see my suit, it cost some dough. Fresh and clean, don't you know? I need a crown for this photo. So let me pick out my fro. Selfie king. 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 Pick out my fro. You see my suit, it cost some dough. Fresh and clean, don't you know? I need a crown for this photo. So let me pick out my fro. Selfie king. Pick out my fro. Selfie king, pick up my fro. Selfie king, pick up my fro. Selfie king, pick up my fro. Live at the time, never been there. Look at the picture if you want evidence. With seniors could be frail, still can't see me with their hands. Flex, so many beats with the squad, they try to send me back. I'm on the front porch listening to string quartet.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Selfie King. That is one of my heroes. That way. How do you point to him? That way. That's one of my heroes, Frederick Douglass, the most photographed American of the 19th century. I'm going to get into this last element of hip hop. The fourth element of hip hop is graffiti. And I'm just going to let the video take over from here. Here we go.
Keep it going. Baba Bomani. Young audience. Teaching artist. HIP, HOP. I got a DJ and a MC. Got some breakers, so we got all three. But can't forget about graffiti. I said HIP, HOP. I got a DJ and a MC. Got some breakers, so we got all three. But can't forget about graffiti. With persistent paint no walls since the dawn of human existence, so no need for resistance when hip-hop has its instance. The kids doing hip-hop, we're using spray cans on everything they can, giving the Bronx a spray tan. We're born with silver spoons, so instead they use their brains. The city was a gallery, the buildings and the trains. Graph writers would leave their mark, call them burners or tags. Dope pieces gave you swag, puff out their chest and brag. The whole city would see it be enraged, don't repress. Writers would be pressed to see who tagged the best. A graffiti epidemic took over New York City. Art can be witty, but breaking laws isn't pretty. Vandalism isn't legal, so only try to stuff at home. But since the early days of hip-hop, this art has grown. The bombers and the galleries have made a peace treaty. Modern art recognizes skill and talent of graffiti. HIP, HOP. I got a DJ and a MC. Got some breakers, so we got all three. But can't forget about graffiti. I said HIP, HOP. I got a DJ and a MC. Got some breakers, so we got all three. But can't forget about graffiti.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the graffiti song. Those are all four elements: DJing, breaking, MCing, and graffitiing. Now, the next thing I want to talk to you about is the three rules of creative writing. Let me slow down. I only got a few more minutes of the show. I want to make sure I get it all in. All right. So when I'm working with young people, let me tell you the biggest thing I've learned from working with all grades. I work from pre-K to 12th grade. The biggest thing I've learned working with all grades is the difference between a kindergartner and a 12th grader. A kindergartner will not know the answer and raise their hand. A 12th grader will know the answer and not raise their hand. Somewhere around the 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, the enthusiasm to just try and answer and don't care if you got it right, that goes away, and you start being really more reserved and not saying an answer unless you know it's absolutely brilliant or quote unquote correct. Well, that is not the attitude that I need creative writers to have. I've spent most of my time trying to turn 5th graders back into kindergartners who are unafraid to make mistakes, because in creative writing, you want to say whatever crazy idea is in your head. And so for that reason, I wrote this song called The 3 Rules of Creative Writing. Let me explain those 3 rules. They are a call and response. The first rule is the only answer that's wrong is the answer that's blank. I say the only answer that's wrong. You say is the answer that's blank. The second rule is writers don't make mistakes. We make discoveries. And I like that one so much, I put it on my t-shirt. Writers don't make mistakes. We make discoveries. I put it on my t-shirt 3 different ways. The regular way, I put it upside down. So when I look down, it says back to me, writers don't make mistakes. We make discoveries. And sometimes when I'm depressed and looking in the mirror and asking myself why I became a writer, at the top here, it says it in mirror letters. So it says back to me, writers don't make mistakes. We make discoveries. I pound these points home to my students all the time. The third point is do not edit in your head. I say do not, you say edit in your head. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the 3 rules of creative writing. I make sure my students have this memorized because I do it every day they see me in class. Here is the 3 rules of creative writing.
Baba Bomani, BabaGotBARS.com. Where all my writers at? Make some noise. All right, y'all, we're about to get real creative. To do that, we're going to go over the 3 rules of creative writing. When you catch on to the chorus, help me out with some call and response. It's exciting when we do creative writing, inspiration igniting, ideas like lightning in a poem or a song. Don't worry what word belongs. Your opinion is impossible to get wrong. Brainstorming ideas is how art is made. Raise your hand, write it down. No need to be afraid. We really want to know what you think. The only answer that's wrong is an answer that's blank. The only answer that's wrong is an answer that's blank. The only answer that's wrong is an answer that's blank. The only answer that's wrong is an answer that's blank. The only answer that's wrong is an answer that's blank. Creating something new can be stressful. Having the right attitude can help you be successful. Edison's attitude helped him not go berserk. I didn't fail 1,000 times. I found 1,000 ways that didn't work. So don't worry that the word, phrase, or sentence isn't right. Every idea you put out there can spark another light. This is the rough draft nobody sees. Writers don't make mistakes. We make discoveries. 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 Do you have a diary, a notebook, or a journal to make sure your bright ideas don't stay internal? Make sure you have a place to write ideas down. When you see them on the page, they're easy to move around. You can revise, remix, rethink, and edit. Best of all, you won't regret it because you won't forget it. To make sure your ideas can evolve and spread, do not edit in your head. It goes, do not edit in your head. 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 Remember, when your teacher asks you to write creatively, he or she wants to know what you are thinking. You cannot possibly get that wrong, so write something down. The only answer that's wrong is an answer that's blank. The only answer that's wrong is an answer that's blank. The only answer that's wrong is an answer that's blank. The only answer that's wrong is an answer that's blank. When you write down this answer, you might not like it. That does not mean you wrote down a wrong word. You wrote down the word that will lead you to the words you were looking for. Writers don't make mistakes. We make discoveries. 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 Make sure you have some place to write your ideas, be it a notebook, a journal, a diary, a tape recorder, a hammer and chisel, any way at all. Just do not edit in your head. Do not edit in your head. Do not edit in your head. Do not edit in your head.
Yeah, 3 rules of creative writing. We're going to keep this moving. I appreciate y'all. This has been a really good way to start my year off. That way I know exactly, you know what I'm saying, the right energy I wanted to start with. So let me show you another one of the things that I show my young people. And then I'm going to end with 2 songs that basically tells you the whole Frederick Douglass story that I do. I have something called the Frederick Douglass Writing Club. And I'm going to bring it back in 2021. My sons were a part of it. I had about 10, 12, 13-year-old boys I did it with at first. Now I sell the program all over the country. I'm going to come back to that. But next thing I want to show you is the writing process. All right. These 5 steps will make everything you write better. Let me break down the writing process for you. I got words and I got movements for you. It goes pre-writing, drafting, revising, editing, publishing. I'm going to repeat that again for you. Pre-writing, drafting, revising, editing, publishing. All right, I'm going to do it in slow motion to make sure you understand it. One last time. Pre-writing, In this stage of the writing process, you want the idea to just explode out of your brain. All right. You don't want to worry about spelling, handwriting, or grammar. You can write stick figures if you need to. All right. It should look messy, but all the ideas should be on the paper. Next, you want to put it in some kind of format. Are you writing a song? Are you writing a poem? Are you writing an essay? That is called drafting. You take your draft now and you look at it and see what you want to change. Maybe what was last should be first should be last. You want to add or delete. That is called revising. And all my grant writers out there know that good writers revise over and over and over and over again. All right. So you're going to be stuck on revising for a while. After you're done revising, now you want to make sure that you've took care of all the spelling, the grammar, and all that good stuff. That is called editing. You're basically polishing it up. Last, you want to throw out into this world this wonderful thing you wrote. You want people to see it or hear it or experience it or read it. That is called publishing. Now, I came up with these dance moves in a room full of 12-year-olds. If you recognize the energy, it felt really good. I am about to now play for you the writing process music video. I'm excited about this. This is the basis of most of the stuff that I teach. Let me share it with you now. Make sure I'm doing it correctly so you can hear all the wonderful music. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the writing process.
Baba Bomani.
Yo.
BabaGotBARS.com. When I do a show or an assembly, a student always comes up to me and asks, how do I take my ideas and turn them into a song? I told them it's the writing process. They usually ask, what's the writing process? So I realized I needed to use the writing process to write a song about the writing process. Are you following me? Let's do this. When I wanna write something and my thoughts are all a mess, I put it all together with the writing process. I got thoughts I must express or issues I must address. The way to do it best is the writing process. Pre-writing, drafting, revising, editing, publishing. 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 When I'm pre-writing, I'm brainstorming what's gonna happen. So before I start rapping, I begin by mind mapping. Start by writing down on paper everything I feel like telling. No worries about grammar, punctuation, handwriting, or spelling. Now, my ideas in pieces. This is the genesis. I'm turning my research into a working thesis. Once I've gathered ideas, then I make an outline. This works for letters, essays, book speeches, or rhymes. The audience and the purpose sets me on the right path. Who am I writing for, and what arguments do I have with those questions asked? I make my first draft. There's no exact answer. This ain't science or math. To perfect the tone and style, I must revise it so I read it. I see what else is needed and what needs to be deleted. Like a garden when you water it and weed it, then I repeat it. No reason to feel defeated. You'll know when it's completed. When I wanna write something and my thoughts are all a mess, I put it all together with the writing process. I got thoughts I must express or issues I must address. The way to do it best is the writing process. Pre-writing, drafting, revising, editing, publishing. 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 I've done pre-writing, drafting, revising, and I reread it. Now I put that polish on it cause I'm gonna edit. I proofread and correct errors in grammar and mechanics. This part can be a terror, but there is no need to panic. Let me tell you what I'm gonna do. I take my time and read it through. I find another writer to give it to. Because 4 eyes are better than 2. I make edits to improve on the clarity and style. Remember to be patient because this might take a while. I can publish it in so many ways. Print it out on a page, read it at class or on stage. Depends on the audience I want to engage. An email blast, television broadcast, an article with photographs, or my podcast, maybe a performance with a cast. Most important thing is that I get it out and that I'm clear on what I'm talking about. So when I get on the microphone and put it on a track, you can bounce your head to the writing process when you play it back. When I wanna write something and my thoughts are all a mess, I put it all together with the writing process. I got thoughts I must express or issues I must address. The way to do it best is the writing process. Rewriting, drafting, revising, editing, publishing. Rewriting, drafting, revising, editing, publishing. Rewriting, drafting, revising, editing, publishing. Rewriting, drafting, revising, editing, publishing.
Yeah.
That's it, y'all. Follow those 5 steps. Pre-writing, draft.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the writing process. We are reaching the end of this hour here. I want to hit you with a debut. I've done this song for a while, but I just finished creating a video for it. I don't know if y'all noticed from watching the live clips that basically all my assemblies and residencies, as far as also being a hip hop show, also turned into a read along. And I'm always, always fall in love with new students every time I get a chance to do like a 3-day or a 7-day or a 2-week residency with a bunch of students. And I always try to think to myself, what can I leave them with that they can take with them, that they can use as a tool no matter what. And one of the things I notice all the time is just young people's literacy level. I wish people read more. I wish people read more to them. If you're a 5th grader and you don't know how to read, it's not your fault. The grown folks around you let you down. But how can I impart some information to the young people that help them become better readers and understand the importance of literacy? And I've decided to make sure I leave them with the story of Frederick Douglass and how he learned how to read. This next piece is called Fit to Be a Slave. Y'all are going to be the first group that is going to see this video for it. I plan on doing a really good video for it again once I get the funds up from having a great 2021 like I expect to. But you guys are about to be the first ones to see my version of Fit to Be the Slave. You'll notice that the words are very much highlighted here because, like I said, this song ends up being a read along. And I want your young people to be blessed by this song as well. This song is called Fit to Be a Slave.
Baba Bomani. BabaGotBARS.com. What's the most you've ever gone through to learn? Have read stolen books under candles that burn, sounding out the hard words as the pages turn, trying to stay quiet as your stomach churns from hunger? Have you ever wondered when you were younger if you never taught your letters and your numbers? Could only read when those who guarded you slumber. If you did, you'd be chased by overseers and slave hunters. What if reading was against the law and all your mental capabilities stayed unused and raw? No books to read, no pencil and paper to draw. Would you hide your eyes from every word that you saw? Young Frederick, he was smart and he was brave, because for him to read was to misbehave. Supposed to be illiterate from the cradle to the grave. A slave who can read isn't fit to be a slave. Young Frederick, he was smart and he was brave, because for him to read was to misbehave. Supposed to be illiterate from the cradle to the grave. A slave who can read isn't fit to be a slave. Young Frederick, he was smart and he was brave, because for him to read was to misbehave. Supposed to be illiterate from the cradle to the grave. A slave who can read isn't fit to be a slave. Born in 1820s in Hillsborough, Maryland. As an African, he was never treated like a man. They controlled when he was sleeping, drinking, and eating. He saw his relatives sold away and his aunt beaten. As a young child, separated from his mother. Grew up as his master's child, but not like a brother. More like a pet, but more than most slaves expect. Some things his young master got, young Frederick would get. That included lessons like learning the ABCs. He would sit with his young master as he would learn to read. His young master's mother was Frederick's mistress. He learned his letters with her assistance. Frederick soaked it all in like all children. He was curious when her husband found out. He was so furious, told her not to teach him, and the reason that he gave: a slave who can read isn't fit to be a slave. Young Frederick, he was smart and he was brave, because for him to read was to misbehave. Supposed to be illiterate from the cradle to the grave. A slave who can read isn't fit to be a slave. Young Frederick, he was smart and he was brave, because for him to read was to misbehave. Supposed to be illiterate from the cradle to the grave. A slave who can read isn't fit to be a slave. Frederick said at the time that he didn't know what that meant. But from that day on, that's how his free time was spent. He stole his master's old homework and finished tests with bad white boys in the street who can spell their words the best. They'd always beat him, but they didn't think of this. Every word they beat him with, he would add it to his list. When he was older, Frederick stole so many books. He hid them where he slept to stay away from master's looks. He learned about freedom and about places far away. Yeah, he knew that his slavery was nowhere to stay. When he learned to read, he also learned to write. He knew he couldn't get out of slavery without a fight. Unless he got a letter from his master, he's a prisoner. So we learned how to write a pass and forge a signature. Now we understood his master's reasons that he gave. A slave who can read isn't fit to be a slave. Young Frederick, he was smart and he was brave. Because for him to read was to misbehave. Supposed to be illiterate from the cradle to the grave. A slave who can read isn't fit to be a slave. Young Frederick, he was smart and he was brave. Because for him to read was to misbehave. Supposed to be illiterate from the cradle to the grave. A slave who can read isn't fit to be a slave. But Frederick Bear confirmed what he knew all along, that freedom is for everyone and slavery is wrong. His reading and writing game was superhero strong. He had so many accomplishments, they need their own songs. Before I make those tracks, let me make one observation. The key to Frederick's freedom was that he stole his education. Didn't have the first through 12, so we learned it all with stealth. Didn't care what master felt, reading gave him knowledge of self. So just like Frederick, read at every opportunity. And unlike Frederick, you got help in your community. The more ideas you have, the more likely you'll succeed. And books can give you all the ideas you need. From the dictionary to history, it's necessary. Now follow me to the library. Frederick used the skill to make sure his people were saved, because no one in the world is fit to be a slave. Young Frederick, he was smart and he was brave. Because for him to read was to misbehave. Supposed to be illiterate from the cradle to the grave. A slave who can read isn't fit to be a slave. Young Frederick, he was smart and he was brave. Because for him to read was to misbehave. Supposed to be illiterate from the cradle to the grave. A slave who can read isn't fit to be a slave.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Fit to Be a Slave about my hero, Frederick Douglass. Trying to make sure I encourage young people to be as literate as possible. I'm going to end y'all with one song, and then I ain't got nothing else to say. It's the last song about Frederick Douglass. I shot this video in one day. Like I said, I live in Prince George's County. I was born in Washington, D.C. Within my house, within an hour of my house, there are about 10 different outdoor monuments to Frederick Douglass. I shot this music video by going to as many of them as I could in one day to create this video. It's directed by my sister, Dia. And I'm going to end it with this. My challenge to you is to read more, is to write more, because we need to hear your voice. Please find me at BabaGotBARS, BabaGotBARS.com, and please support Words, Beats, and Life. I'm loving this. This is how I'm going to end it. I'm not even going to come back after this. I'm going to say peace right now, and I'm going to end y'all with the Rederick Like Frederick music video. Here we go.
Baba Bomani, BabaGotBARS.com. Rhetoric, the use of persuasive language. Nobody was better at rhetoric than Frederick Douglass. You can have rhetoric just like Frederick. Rhetoric, 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 what you talking about? Just like Frederick, keyboard out your mouth. Rhetoric, what you talking about? Just like Frederick, power make them count. Rhetoric, what you talking about? Just like Frederick, keyboard out your mouth. Rhetoric, what you talking about? Just like Frederick, just like Frederick. He was many things, including a biographer. America was on trial. He's a stenographer, key witness, and prosecuting attorney. He took the whole world on a slavery journey. Became a voice for the voiceless, enslaved Africans faced with hard choices. Back when they thought former slaves couldn't be literate, destroyed the myths that the masses were considerate. Blew you away with vocabulary, above ordinary, distinguished dignitary, emissary, representing for black pain, deep and philosophical or simple and plain. You know you got a story, are you telling it? Don't ever think your story isn't relevant. Like Douglas, tell your own narrative, so you can have rhetoric just like Frederick. Rhetoric, just like Frederick. Rhetoric, just like Frederick. Rederick, just like Frederick. Rederick, just like Frederick. Rederick, what you talking about? Just like Frederick, keyboard out your mouth. Rederick, what you talking about? Just like Frederick, power make them count. Rederick, what you talking about? Just like Frederick, keyboard out your mouth. Rederick, what you talking about? Just like Frederick. Just like Frederick. 1847, he started the North Star. At the time, black newspapers were bizarre. He felt he had to use his freedom of the press. Those who suffer injustice are those who must demand redress. He appreciated white abolitionists, but thought former slaves to tell what the mission is. They pushed forward their efforts, sold copies through networks, to readers, through experts. Then he teamed up with Martin Delaney, who was astute. That's another word for brainy. He thought the publication should be named for its creator, so the name became the Frederick Douglass Papers. What's the story in your world? Are you telling it? Don't ever think your story is irrelevant. Telling your story is imperative, so you can have rhetoric just like Frederick. Rederick, 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 what you talking about? Just like Frederick, keyboard out your mouth. Rederick, what you talking about? Just like Frederick, power make them count. Rederick, what you talking about? Just like Frederick, keyboard out your mouth. Rederick, what you talking about? Just like Frederick. Just like Frederick. He used his skills to write and perform speeches. That's readings out loud that inspires and teaches. Before the Civil War, few had seen before a black orator on a nationwide tour. When it comes to speeches, he might be the GOAT. From slave abolition to the women's right to vote. Good speeches are the art of storytelling, presenting arguments in a way that's compelling. Look at the titles, they tell you no lie. Like what to the slave is the 4th of July. The hypocrisy of American slavery. Giving these speeches showed poise and bravery. What's your message to the world? Are you telling it? Don't ever think your message is irrelevant. Write your words down and then start yelling it. You can have rhetoric just like Frederick. Rederick, what to the American slave is your 4th of July? Rederick, I answer just like a deal that reveals to him more than all other days of the year, the gross injustice and cruelty to which he's the constant victim. To him, your celebration is a sham. Your boast of liberty, an unholy license. Your national greatness, swelling vanity. Your sounds of rejoicing are empty and heartless. Your denunciation of tyrants, brass-fronted impudence. Your shouts of liberty and equality, hollow mockery. Your prayers and hymns, your sermons and thanksgivings, with all your religious parade and solemnity, mere bombast, fraud, deception, impiety, and hypocrisy, a thin veil to cover up crimes which would disgrace a nation of savages.
To the SP 1200, the blue light bulb, to the board, the engineer's hands, and the limited well of patience. Hallelujah to everybody say ho, amen to all the ladies say ow. Thank God for make money, money, make money, money, and bless every hand that was ever put in the air. In your name, we pray. Some ideas, they shake you out of your sleep like when a toddler creeps. Totality of the deep, the mere thought of an unconscious manifestation carried out with the beat. Positive charged protons creating neural explosions. Time hiccups when fingers and pads touch. Dead air smiles because it knows what's coming. The countenance of the clock claps hands. The choreography of the knot slaps jams. And you be like, who made this? Vertebrae responding to the call so bad to make a B-girl curve the wall. Let's take you on a time jump, virtual zoom, bringing it back to Theodore's bedroom. These hands are passionately polysyllabic, putting the Jeopardy theme on swings. 10 dons giving predictions, balancing vibes like the sons and daughters of Ipwan. Ear to the underground, flicking off. Peppermint, fresh experiment, let's go. El Premier Elemento, you gotta take your time, press your fingers to the line. Red man, focus your mind. And once you do that, you're at the front of the combine. Picture this. Underneath the margins, your words can breathe. Got your listeners tilting isosceles the way you holding volcanic quills, spitting decrees. Better believe it flows like these. You got gills, screaming of daffodils or dreaming in mandrills, derivative of skills. You're built in the workshop, rocking with raw. Cause in life, the woodshed don't stop. It don't stop. It don't stop. Don't stop.